Old Testament script. In the beginning, everything was perfect, until it wasn't. The story begins with a perfect world. In the beginning, God created everything: light, water, sky, animals, and finally, a man and a woman. He called them Adam and Eve. He placed them in a beautiful garden, the Garden of Eden. Their job was simple: enjoy this good world, live with God, and take care of all. Creation fall, the problem begins. Brokenness begins. Pain, separation, death.
This is the Old Testament. Montage of key scenes we will cover. Adam and Eve in the garden, Noah's Ark, Abraham looking at the stars, Moses and the burning bush, David and Goliath, the prophet Isaiah. It is the best books, history, law, and prophecy spanning thousands of years. It's a story filled with heroes and villains, giants and kings, miracles, and heartbreaks. But most of all, it is a story about a God who refuses to give up on his creation. Let's go back to the very beginning. Part 2. The perfect beginning, Genesis 1-2. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. A silent, watery world waited. Then the Spirit of God hovered over the waters, like a mother bird over her nest.
And the first command was given. Let there be light.
And there was light. Day 1. He separated the waters, creating the sky. Day 2. He gathered the waters, revealing dry land, and commanded the earth to bring forth plants. Day 3. He set the sun, moon, and stars in the sky to mark time. Day 4. He filled the seas with creatures and the skies with birds. Day 5. Then, on the 6th day, he spoke again. Let the earth bring forth living creatures, livestock, creeping things, and beasts of the earth. The world teemed with life, but God's masterpiece was yet to come. God formed a man from the dust of the ground, and then he did something he had done for no other part of creation. He breathed into the man's nostrils the breath of life. The man, Adam, became a living soul. He was made in God's very image, created to know God, to rule over creation, and to be in perfect relationship with his Maker. God planted a garden, a paradise called Eden, and placed the man there. It was a place of perfect provision. In the center stood two special trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God gave Adam one command, a single test of trust. You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Seeing Adam alone, God declared, "It is not good for the man to be alone." So he made a helper fit for him, a woman, Eve, from Adam's own side. In Eden, there was no shame, no fear, no death, only peace. It was very good.
It was an adversary, Satan himself, embodying pride and deception. He began by questioning God's word, then flatly contradicted it. Did God actually say, "You shall not eat of any tree in the garden"? "You will not surely die," the serpent hissed. "For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." He began by questioning God's word, then flatly contradicted it. "You will not surely die," the serpent hissed. "For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." The woman saw that the fruit was good for food, a delight to the eyes, and desired to make one wise. So she takes it, and she gives it to Adam, and in that moment, the lights go out. The first thing they feel is shame. They've never felt it before. They look at each other and realize they're naked. I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid, Adam confessed. The relationship of trust was shattered. In that single moment, everything changed. The consequences were severe, but within that curse, he planted the very first promise of hope, a proto-evangelium, the first gospel. To the serpent, God declared perpetual enmity. He said to the serpent, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. The implied death of an animal to cover their shame is a somber moment.
They are then led out of the garden.
Cherubim with a flaming sword, blocking the way back, to cover their shame. An animal had to die, a foreshadowing of the ultimate sacrifice to come. Then, to prevent them from eating from the tree of life and living forever in their broken state. God banished them from Eden, east of Eden.
The fracture deepened with their first children, Cain, a farmer, and Abel, a shepherd. Both brought offerings to God. God looked with favor on Abel's faithful offering, but not on Cain's. Blinded by jealousy and rage, Cain lured his brother into a field and killed him. The first murder, am I my brother's keeper? Cain infamously asked God. The answer, then and now, is a resounding yes.
Part 4. A world undone and a covenant kept. Genesis 6-9. As humanity multiplied, so did its wickedness. The Bible says every intention of the thoughts of man's heart was only evil continually. The earth was filled with violence. It had become a cancer, and God's heart was filled with pain. But one man found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. He walked with God, and God confided in Noah his plan. He would send a great flood to wipe clean the slate of humanity, to judge the wickedness, and to start over. He instructed Noah to build an ark, a massive, rectangular vessel for the survival of his family and representatives of every kind of land animal. Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives enter the ark. The door closes. Then the rains begin. For 7 days they waited. Then the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened. For 40 days and 40 nights it rained. The waters rose higher and higher, covering even the tallest mountains. Every living thing on the dry land perished. Only Noah and those with him in the ark remained alive. After 150 days the waters began to recede. The top of a mountain appears. A raven is sent out, then a dove. The dove returns with an olive leaf. God remembered Noah and sent a wind to dry the waters. Finally, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Noah sent out a raven and then a dove. The first time the dove returned. The second time it came back with a freshly plucked olive leaf, a sign of new life. The third time it didn't return. The earth was dry. They built an altar and worshiped God. Noah, his family, and the animals stepped out onto a new world. The first thing Noah did was build an altar and worship. God was pleased with the sacrifice, and he made a solemn promise, a covenant with Noah and with all of creation. Never again would he destroy every living creature with a flood. Spanning from one horizon to the other, I have set my bow in the cloud, God said, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. The rainbow, a weapon of war, hung up in the sky, became a symbol of God's mercy and peace. A new chapter for humanity began.
The father of a nation, Genesis 12-25. Humanity, once again, disobeyed, trying to make a name for itself. Tower of Babel, God scattered them by confusing their language. From this scattered mass, God chose to call one man. His name was Abram, from Ur of the Chaldeans. God decides to start over with one man. His name is Abram. He's old. His wife, Sarai. They have no kids, and God walks up to him and says, "Leave your father's house to the land that I will show you," God commanded. God led him to the land of Canaan, promising it to his offspring forever. "And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. In you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed." And his nephew Lot, packing up their lives and beginning a long journey. He was 75 years old. They arrive in the land of Canaan. By faith, Abram went, not knowing where he was going. But there was one massive problem. Sarai, his wife, was barren. How could he become a great nation with no child? God took Abram outside and said, "Look toward heaven and number the stars. If you are able to number them," then he said, "so shall your offspring be." And the most profound statement in the Old Testament is recorded. And Abram believed the Lord, and he counted it to him as righteousness. He was made right with God, not by works, but by faith. A formal ceremony where animals are cut in two, and God, represented by a smoking fire pot. God formalized this promise with a covenant, a binding agreement. He promised Abram the land. He changed Abram's name to Abraham, father of a multitude, and Sarai's to Sarah, princess. He gave them the sign of circumcision. Years passed. Abraham was 99, Sarah 90. Then, 3 mysterious visitors came to Abraham's tent. They repeated the promise, "I will surely return to you about this time next year. And Sarah, your wife, shall have a son." Sarah, listening from the tent, laughed to herself. But the Lord said, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" The next year, the promise was fulfilled. But then, God gave a command that seemed unthinkable. Isaac was born. Laughter filled their tent. It was a miracle. "Abraham, take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love," God said, "and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there, as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." This was the ultimate test of faith. Abraham, with a heavy heart, takes Isaac on a 3-day journey to Mount Moriah. Abraham, trusting that God could even raise the dead, obeyed. As he raised the knife, the angel of the Lord called out, "Do not lay your hand on the boy, for now I know that you fear God, seeing have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." The promises God made to Abraham are multifaceted and far-reaching. One of the most significant. From Isaac comes Jacob. Jacob wrestles with God and gets a new name, Israel. And from his 12 sons, you get the 12 tribes of Israel. Promises was the gift of land, a specific territory that would belong to Abraham's descendants. God also promised that Abraham would have numerous descendants, a multitude of nations that would emerge from his lineage. Furthermore, God vowed to make Abraham's name great, ensuring that he would be blessed. This promise was not limited to the Jewish people, but extended to every nation on earth, and revered by people everywhere. And perhaps, most remarkably, God declared that through Abraham, all nations would be blessed. It's a promise that finds its fulfillment in the coming of Jesus Christ, who would emerge from Abraham's lineage and offer salvation to people. From every corner of the globe. This universal impact is a testament to the boundless love and generosity of God. In Jesus Christ, the promise to Abraham is realized, as people from every nation, tribe, and tongue are brought into a relationship with God. This profound truth underscores the interconnectedness of human history and the enduring Significance of Abraham's story. The blessings that flow from Abraham's lineage are not limited to a select few, but are available to everyone.
Moses gives raised in Egypt. Moses was born when the Israelites were slaves in ancient Egypt. Pharaoh ordered Hebrew baby boys to be killed. Moses' mother hid him and placed him in a basket on the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter found him and raised him as a prince in the palace. God protected Moses because he would later lead the Israelites out of slavery. Moses flees to Midian. As an adult, Moses saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave and killed the Egyptian. When Pharaoh found out, Moses ran away to Midian. There he became a shepherd and married Zipporah. Moses lived there for many years while God prepared him for a special mission. The burning bush calling. While tending sheep near Mount Horeb, Moses saw a bush burning but not destroyed. God spoke to him from the bush and told him to return to Egypt to free the Israelites. God promised to help him and said his brother Aaron would support him. 10 plagues and Passover. Moses asked Pharaoh to let the Israelites go, but Pharaoh refused. God sent 10 plagues on Egypt. The final plague killed the firstborn, but Israelite homes were protected with lamb's blood on their doors. This event became known as Passover. After this, Pharaoh finally let the Israelites leave. Exodus and Red Sea crossing. The Israelites left Egypt, but Pharaoh chased them with his army. They were trapped at the Red Sea. God parted the sea through Moses, allowing the Israelites to cross safely. When the Egyptian army followed, the waters returned and destroyed them. 10 Commandments at Sinai. At Mount Sinai, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. These laws taught the Israelites how to live and worship God. They became the foundation of their moral and spiritual life. 40 years wandering. Because the Israelites doubted God, they wandered in the Sinai desert for 40 years. During this time, God provided food called manna and water in the wilderness. A new generation grew up ready to trust God. 8. Moses dies at Mount Nebo, near the Promised Land. Moses climbed Mount Nebo and saw the land God promised to Israel. However, he was not allowed to enter it. Moses died there after leading the people for many years. 9. Joshua leads Israel into the Promised Land. After Moses' death, Joshua became the leader. He led the Israelites across the Jordan River into Canaan. This fulfilled God's promise and completed the journey from slavery to the Promised Land. The wilderness journey was a time of testing and failure, but a new generation arose. Under Joshua's leadership, they crossed the Jordan River, and battles, most famously at Jericho, began to conquer the land God had promised. They settled the land, but the task was incomplete. Like Deborah, Gideon, or Samson, to save them, then peace. Then the people fall back into sin, and the cycle repeats. Without a central leader, a dark cycle began. The people would turn from God, worship idols, and face oppression. They would cry out, and God would raise up charismatic leaders called judges to deliver them. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. The book of Judges ends with a haunting line. In those days there was no king in Israel. Then they would have peace until the judge died, and the cycle would start again. The people come to the last judge, Samuel, and demand a king. The people demanded a king, rejecting God as their true king. God granted their request. He chose Saul, a tall, impressive Benjamite, to be their first king. Saul started well, but quickly disobeyed God, and his heart turned proud. God rejected him and sent Samuel to find a new king, a man after God's own heart. In the humble setting of Bethlehem, Samuel anointed the youngest son of Jesse. His name was David. The Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him from that day forward. The Philistine champion, Goliath, defied the armies of God. All of Israel, including King Saul, cowered in fear. Then comes David, a shepherd boy with a heart. But David, filled with faith, saw the giant not as an insurmountable foe, but as an enemy of the living God. With a single stone, he felled the giant and cut off his head. Israel was saved. David became a national hero. King David. David's life was a mixture of profound faith and tragic. His terrible sin with Bathsheba, failure including, and the murder of her husband. Yet, when confronted, he repented deeply. He became Israel's greatest king, and God made him an astounding promise that his throne would be established forever, and that one of his own descendants would reign eternally. A messianic promise. David's son Solomon built the temple, a glorious house for God. Israel reached its golden age of peace and prosperity, was turned away by his many foreign wives, but Solomon's heart in his old age, and he allowed idolatry into the heart of the nation and the earth. But Solomon turns away from God. The kingdom splits in two. Everyone else has one. It's a mess. God sends prophets Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. They warn of judgment, but also speak of hope. Isaiah says, "A virgin will conceive and bear a son." Jeremiah talks about a new covenant.
Ezekiel sees a valley of dry bones, coming back to life. But then silence. For 400 years, God doesn't speak. No prophets. No miracles. Just silence. Imagine waiting for a promise for 400 years. Would you still believe? The lesson of Gideon. God told him, "You are too strong. If you win with 300 men instead of 30,000, you will know it was me, not your strength." The lesson of Samson. Your gift, strength, is tied to your surrender. When Samson forgot God, he went blind. But in his lowest moment, his hair grew back, symbolizing that God gives second chances. Even a failure can have a glorious finale. The silent scroll, Ruth. The big idea. God writes beautiful redemption stories in the middle of grief. Right after the chaos of Judges, we meet Ruth. She was a foreigner, a widow, and poor. By all worldly logic, she was insignificant. But she made a covenant with her mother-in-law Naomi. "Your God will be my God." Boaz, the wealthy landowner, acted as her kinsman redeemer. He bought back her land and married her. This is a stunning picture of Jesus. We were outsiders, spiritually bankrupt. But Jesus paid the price to redeem us and bring us into his family. Ruth, it's the bridge from brokenness to royalty. She became the great-grandmother of King David, the king after God's own heart, 1 Samuel. The big idea. God looks at the inside, not the outside. Hannah's prayer, David and Goliath, David and Jonathan. The people demanded a king. They got Saul, tall, handsome, but insecure and disobedient. Then God sent Samuel to anoint a new king. Jesse brought out his 7 strong sons. But God said no. Then he brought in the youngest, the shepherd boy David. David versus Goliath. The giant wasn't just a man. He was the voice of fear. David ran toward the giant because he knew the size of God. "You come with a sword, but I come in the name of the Lord." The Jonathan lesson. True friendship doesn't envy your success. Jonathan took off his robe, his rights to the throne, and gave it to David. Spiritual maturity is celebrating others more than yourself. The danger of success, 2 Samuel and 1 Kings 1-11. The big idea: winning is often more dangerous than losing. David and Bathsheba, Absalom's rebellion, Solomon's wisdom and folly. David finally became king. He stopped fighting giants and started walking on rooftops. That's when he saw Bathsheba. One bad decision led to murder and the crumbling of his family. Here is the hope. When the prophet Nathan said, "You are the man," David didn't make excuses. He wrote Psalm 51, "Create in me a clean heart." Solomon's mistake: he asked for wisdom, got it, but forgot who gave it to him. He had 700 wives who turned his heart to idols. The lesson is clear. You can be brilliant and still be a fool if you lose your first love for God. The Torn Kingdom and the Fire Prophets, 1 Kings 12-2 Kings. The big idea: God always leaves a remnant, and he answers by fire. Book of Job. Why do righteous people suffer? Job is a faithful and wealthy man who suddenly loses everything: his children, health, and possessions. This suffering is not due to wrongdoing, but part of a test allowed by God. His friends argue that suffering must be punishment for sin, but Job insists on his innocence. Job questions God, but does not abandon his faith. God eventually responds, not with a direct answer, but by showing his infinite wisdom and power. In the end, Job is restored and blessed even more than before. Message: suffering is not always a result of personal sin. God's ways are beyond human understanding. Faith can persist even in deep suffering. Book of Psalms. Main theme: worship, prayer, and human emotions before God. A collection of 150 poems/songs used in worship. Many are written by King David, but others contributed as well. Psalms cover a wide range of emotions: joy and praise, fear and sorrow, anger and doubt, trust and hope. Types of psalms: praise psalms, celebrating God's greatness; lament psalms, crying out in distress; thanksgiving psalms, expressing gratitude; wisdom psalms, teaching about righteous living. Key message: you can bring any emotion to God. God is both powerful and deeply personal. Worship includes honesty, not just happiness. Elijah versus prophets of Baal, Elisha, Jonah. The kingdom split in two. It looked like God's plan failed, but watch what he does. Enter Elijah. On Mount Carmel, 450 false prophets danced all day, cutting themselves, screaming to a dead god named Baal. Silence. Then Elijah drenched his altar in water just to make it hard, and prayed, "Let them know that you are God." Fire fell from heaven. The still small voice. After that massive win, Elijah ran in fear from one woman. God didn't yell at him. He spoke in a whisper. When you are burned out, stop looking for lightning bolts. Listen for the whisper. As we close into Micah, the nation is spiritually bankrupt. Micah, the final point: the people asked, "What should we bring God?" "Thousands of rams, our firstborn." God answered, "He has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." Micah 6 verse 8. The journey from Judges to Micah teaches us this. We fail, Judges. God redeems, Ruth. God seeks our heart, David. We mess up again, Kings, but God keeps sending prophets to call us home. And that whisper leads us straight to the cross. Imagine a spiral staircase. Kings is the shaky top, power corrupts. But the prophets, Hosea, Micah, are the railing you hold on to. They remind you that no matter how many times you fall down these stairs, God is at the bottom saying, "Let's walk up again, together." Isaiah, the prophet of salvation. Isaiah ministers to the southern kingdom of Judah, c. 740 to 681 BC, warning them before the Assyrian exile of the northern kingdom. Isaiah sees a vision of God's holiness and declares that Judah's sin, idolatry, injustice, empty rituals, will bring judgment. He predicts the Assyrian invasion and later the Babylonian exile. Yet God promises a remnant will return. Central to Isaiah is the hope of a coming Messiah, Emmanuel. Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace, who will establish God's kingdom. The suffering servant, chapter 53, will bear the people's sins and bring salvation to the nations. The book ends with new heavens and a new earth. Isaiah 53 verse 5. He was pierced for our transgressions. Proverbs, wisdom for living under God. Attributed mainly to King Solomon, 10th century BC, but compiled later. Wisdom literature is not a narrative story. Proverbs teaches that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. It contrasts the wise, righteous, diligent, self-controlled with the foolish, lazy, arrogant, wicked. Practical advice covers speech, family, work, money, and relationships. The book personifies wisdom as a woman calling people to life. It fits the Old Testament story as instruction for how God's covenant people should live in the promised land after the conquest and monarchy. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3 verse 5. Amos, the prophet of social justice. Amos, a shepherd from Judah, preaches to the prosperous northern kingdom. c. 760 to 750 BC, under Jeroboam II. God is angry because Israel is wealthy but corrupt, selling the poor for silver, oppressing the righteous, and practicing empty worship. Amos declares that God's judgment is not just on enemy nations, but on his own people. You only have I chosen. Therefore, I will punish you. The day of the Lord will be darkness, not light. However, God promises to restore the fallen booth of David and bring a remnant back to the land. Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. Amos 5 verse 24. Hosea, God's faithful love to an unfaithful people. Contemporary with Amos, Hosea preaches to the northern kingdom before its fall too. Assyria, c. 755 to 715 BC. God commands Hosea to marry an unfaithful woman, Gomer, who repeatedly commits adultery. Their marriage becomes a living parable. Israel is God's bride who chases other gods, Baal. God will judge Israel by sending them into exile, Assyria, but his love will not let go. He will allure Israel back to the wilderness and speak tenderly. The book ends with a promise of healing, restoration, and a new covenant. I will betroth you to me forever. In righteousness and justice, in love and compassion. Hosea 2 verse 19. Jonah, God's mercy for the nations. During the reign of Jeroboam II, c. 8th century BC. Unlike other prophets, Jonah is sent to Assyria's capital, Nineveh. God calls Jonah to preach judgment on Nineveh. Jonah, God's mercy for the nations. During the reign of Jeroboam II, c. 8th century BC. Unlike other prophets, Jonah is sent to Assyria's capital, Nineveh. God calls Jonah to preach judgment on Nineveh, but Jonah flees by sea. A great storm rises. Jonah is thrown overboard and swallowed by a great fish. After 3 days, he repents, and the fish vomits him onto dry land. He preaches to Nineveh, and the entire city repents. God spares them. Jonah is angry at God's mercy, but God teaches him that he cares for all people, even Israel's enemies. Key lesson: should I not have concern for the great city of Nineveh? Jonah 4 verse 11. The story shows God's mission to the Gentiles. Malachi, the final prophetic voice before silence. After the return from Babylonian exile, c. 30 BC. The temple is rebuilt, but the people are disillusioned and disobedient. God confronts Israel's spiritual apathy through a series of disputes. The priests offer blemished sacrifices. The people divorce their wives and marry pagans. They rob God in tithes and question his justice. God promises to send a messenger to prepare the way. John the Baptist, and then the Lord you are seeking will suddenly come to his temple, Jesus. The Old Testament ends with a warning. Elijah will come before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, turning hearts of fathers to children. Key verse: see, I will send the prophet Elijah to you before that great and dreadful day of the Lord comes. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.